Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Review for quiz number 2. As per usual, I will put this video on my YouTube channel, and the content, the actual physical pages, I will post to your Blackboard site under content. So you can find the review in video form and in hard copy form. And as per last week, the quiz will be posted, or available, I should say, early Monday morning, and it will be due midnight or at the end of the day on Tuesday. So your 2 sections, which are 2.2 and 3.1, those assignments are due the end of the day Monday. The quiz number 2 due end of the day on Tuesday. And it'll have 4 questions. It'll be identical to these guys. Only difference is the numbers involved will be slightly different. So if you can work these problems, you can work your quiz. Here we go. In a class in which the final course grade depends entirely on the average of 4 equally weighted 100-point tests, Lisa has scored 94, 79, and 77 on the first 3. What range of scores on the 4th test will give her a B for the semester? And they tell you what a B means. An average between 80 and 89 inclusive. Assume that all test scores have a non-negative value. Well, we hope that's true. Express your answer in interval notation. Remember interval notation? That's the stuff that deals with parentheses, brackets, or some combination of the two. So every interval notation will look like one of these 4 guys. All right. So we want to find, first of all, Lisa's average. And you know how to do an average. She has 4 scores, 94, 79, 77, and something. And to get an average, you divide the sum by 4. So the average, I'll just put it in general terms here, the average has to be between 80 and 89. Now you guys know that the arrows of inequality point toward the smaller number, and the larger number points toward the smaller number. So her average has to be between 80 and 89. But there's a very key word here, inclusive, that tells you something else. It can actually include the numbers 80 and 89. Since they have this, if it just had between 80 and 89, this is what we would put. Since they add the word inclusive, we want to include 80 and 89, so we put the less than or equal to symbols. Got that? Between is just less than. Inclusive means include those endpoints. We add the equal to signs. So her average has to be somewhere between 80 and 89, or including 80 and 89. How do you do an average? Let's do it. I add the 4 grades up. I got an X for this last grade because we don't know what it is. To get an average of 4 things, you add 4 things and divide by 4. That's what has to be between 89 and 80. Now, ladies and gentlemen, setting up the problem is basically the majority of what you're doing here. If you can set this guy up, it's not too difficult to work. But setting it up, reading it, and translating the words into mathematical symbols is your main challenge. So I need to find this guy X right here. Right now it's added to a bunch of stuff. It's divided by 4. I gotta simplify this guy. First thing you might want to do is add these guys. So add them up. Use your handy dandy scientific calculator, and you get 250. And that's got to be somewhere in between 80 and 89 inclusive. All right, right now I have something divided by 4. I'm still trying to get the X by itself. So my next step is to multiply all parts by 4. Multiply that by 4, that by 4, and this by 4. And you know the reason we're multiplying this by 4 is so that the denominator cancels, and I just have 250 plus x. That's 356 according to my calculator, and 4 times 8 is 32, 320. Hey, we're one step away. We need to get x by itself, so we're going to subtract 250 from each part. Notice it's not both sides anymore. It's 3 sides, so to speak. It's 3 parts. So the x turns out to be somewhere between 106 and 70. Now notice these are 100-point tests, so I'm not going to put 106 in my answer. I'll simply put 100. And it says to express my answer in interval notation. Since I have the equal to's, I'm going to put brackets. If it didn't have the equal to signs, I'd just put parentheses, right? So a good thing to remember, if it's got an equal to sign, that's going to be a bracket. If it doesn't have an equal to sign, that's just going to be parentheses. So this is somewhere between 70 and, I don't need to say 106, I can just say 100. So she's got to make somewhere between 70 and 100 inclusive. She can make a 70, she can make 100 to get her B. All right, first question is going to work that way. All right, second question. This is an inequality involving absolute values. This is where you're going to want to refer to your notes. Your notes are going to help you in this instance. It says, consider the following absolute value inequality. Okay, I'm considering it. Done. Solve the inequality, solve, and express your answer again in interval notation. And if you have any uneven numbers, it says use decimal form. All right, here we go. First step in simplifying an absolute value equation or inequality is isolate the absolute value. So, and isolate means, of course, get it by itself. Right now it's multiplied by 2. So I'm going to, the way you undo a multiplication by 2 is simply to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get the absolute value of y plus 1 is less than or equal to 3. Now this is where referring to your notes is going to help you. Absolute value is less than works one way. Absolute value is greater than works another way. See your notes. And your notes are posted on Blackboard under content. And if I go to my notes there, I find that to simplify an absolute value is less than, this translates to what we call a double inequality. All that means is whatever's in the absolute value goes in the middle. And on either side is this number and its opposite. And you know the arrows always point toward the smaller number, right? So the 3 is here, the negative 3 is over there. Hey, I got to get the y by itself. That's going to be easy. Subtract 1 from all parts. And I get negative 4 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 2. Another way to say that is y is in between negative 4 and 2, inclusive. Now, interval notation again. So I have to use my parentheses or brackets. Since I have equal to signs, it's going to be brackets. Smaller number goes here. all the way to the larger number, which is there. This says anything in between -4 and 2 inclusive. Step 2, graph the thing. To graph it, all I need are these two values. +2, 1, 2. -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just as this interval indicates, my solution set is anything in between -4 and 2. So it's all this stuff in between -4 and 2. Now you know that for a graph like this, I need an ending marker. My ending markers are either going to be parentheses or brackets. This tells me, since I have equal to signs, I'm going to use ending markers of brackets. If I have brackets in my interval, I'm going to have brackets in my graph. So there's my solution set. Again, isolate the absolute value. Use your notes to determine what to do. If it's an absolute value is less than, that's one thing. If it's an absolute value is greater than, that's another thing. Check your notes for that. And then graph your solution set. All right, next one. This one comes out of 3-1. It says for the following equation, that guy, determine the values of the missing entries. Reduce all fractions to lowest terms. Note, each column represents an ordered pair, an x and a y, an x and a y. If multiple solutions exist, if you got more answers than one that could go in here, just put in one. And the only time that's going to happen is if you had a squared value in one of these. But we don't, so we're just going to get one answer. All right, so here's the bottom line. In each of these ordered pairs, I am given either the x or the y, either the x or the y, and I'm to find the other one. The simple way I do it is substitute what I got and solve for the missing variable. So in this first instance, this first ordered pair right here, my y is 0. So in the place of y in my equation, I'm going to put 0. Well, that's easy enough. And 6 times y is just 0, so I get 9x is 16. That's a simple equation to solve. Divide both sides by 9. And I'm there. X is 16 over 9. Lowest terms, anything go into 16 and 9? No. So, first ordered pair, x is 16 over 9, y is 0. All right, notice in the next guy, they gave me the x, and I got to find the y. So in ordered pair number 2, I'm told that x is 0. So in the place of x, I'm going to put 0. I know that 9 times 0 is just 0, so I get -6. Y is 16. Divide both sides by -6. And you know that a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And there's my answer, right? No, because lowest terms, and that would give you an incorrect answer if you put this in there. These are both divisible by 2, so -8/3. Watch that, lowest terms. Again, I'm given x. In this case, it's 2. So in the place of x, I'm going to put a 2. All right, this doesn't go to 0, does it? That's 18. I want to get the y's by themselves. So -6y is 16 minus 18, -2. I'm going to divide both sides by -6. A and negative divided by negative. That's right, that's a positive. But that's not sufficient because they're both even. Divide by 2, y is 1/3. We've got one more ordered pair in which the y is 1. So in the place of y, I'm going to put 1. 9x minus 6 times 1. Again, I'm trying to get the variable by itself, so I'm going to add, do the opposite of this, add 6 to both sides. 9x is 22. Divide both sides by 9, and I'm there. Anything go into both 22 and 9? No. So 22/9 is going to be my solution. So you're going to be given an equation. You're going to be given half of an ordered pair. You're going to substitute and solve to find the other half of the ordered pair. All right. Last one. This is also from 3.1. It says, consider the following pair of points. There they are. Step 1, find the distance. Now, distance is not easy unless you know the formula. That's why I gave you the formula. It's in your notes. The distance formula is the absolute value of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. What does that mean? Well, it means we have to designate our 2 points. It doesn't matter how you do it. Pick one of them and call it x1, y1, and I would highly suggest you even write it above the number so that when you're filling in this rather random appearing formula, you can find x1, y1, x2, y2. And again, it does not matter which one you call x1, y1, which one you call x2, y2. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. So what I'm going to do is in this formula, make sure you got it correct, is I'm going to substitute these values. Let's see, it's the square root of, first parentheses, x2 minus x1. That's negative 2 minus 6 squared. Second parentheses, y2 minus y1, that's 6 minus 5 squared. So I get negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8. That's 1. Now, when you do your distance formula, you are always going to get a positive number plus a positive number. Always positive? Why? Because of that right there. Since you're squaring whatever's in the parentheses, you're always going to get a positive number plus a positive number. So if you ever get a negative plus a positive, go back and check you did something wrong. So this will always be positive because I'm squaring it. This will always be positive because I'm squaring it. So there's my solution. Determine the distance. The distance is the square root of 65. Now, if you used your handy-dandy calculator and found that the square root of 65 is approximately equal to 8.06226, and you put that in, you would get it wrong. Why? Because that's an approximation. This is exact. Since it doesn't say in my directions, express your answer to 5 decimal places or something like that, I put the exact answer in, square root of 65. All right, that's the distance formula. Got 2 points, you can find the distance between them with that formula. Second, if you got 2 points, you can find the midpoint of the line segment joining the 2 points. And here's what I'm going to use for that, my midpoint formula. You got that in your notes as well. Hey, a midpoint, keep in mind, is a point. Makes sense? A midpoint is a point, so it's got an x and a y. And the way you find the x is you average your x's. How do you average two things? You add them up and divide by 2. And the way you find your y value is you average your y coordinates. Add them up, divide by 2. So once again, I need to label my points x1, y1, x2, y2, right? So that I can fill in my formula. So here we go. It's x1 plus x2, that's 6 plus a negative 2. It's my x. My y is 5 plus 6. Notice I'm adding this time. I was subtracting in my distance formula. I'm adding this time. That's how you average. You add two things, divide by 2. That's 4. That's 11. And I would simplify that. And there you got it. There's the midpoint. I would guess that if you put it as, you would get the same correct notation, because that's exact and that's exact. They're just two different forms, and it doesn't tell me anything about how to express my answers. So that's it. So that's the fourth of the 4 problems in your quiz number 2. By the way, if you went to the McNeese basketball game, send me an email to let me know. I already have a couple of emails from a couple of you that showed me that you went or told me that you went. I appreciate that. Others of you that went to the McNeese basketball game, send me an email to let me know that you went, and I'll give you extra credit. All right. Good luck, you guys. This guy is due end of the day on Tuesday.